And he said, I don't believe some of them either.
Yeah.
But,
And that was Frank Lumpkin, right?
No.
no. John Lumpkin.
John Lumpkin, okay.
Frank Lumpkins is still living,
Yeah.
as far as I know.
Yeah.
His
Frank
wife,
was Elmer's boy.
his wife is in a nursing home somewhere, I don't know.
Is she?
She
We was
has,
wondering about her the other
she
day.
has Alzheimer's.
Yeah, I know she had that, yeah.
Kept her home a long time there.
Yeah,
She's Garland Rinker's sister.
yeah. Yeah, old Dee Dee.
I like Dee Dee, she's a
Yeah.
good person.
She volunteered over the hospital quite a lot before she got sick.
I don't know why they built that house so little, though.
I never could figure that out.
Probably as big as they need.
Well, that's all they wanted.
Yeah. Well, I bet
How's he related, how's he hooked up with Ken and Henshaw?
Marion Short's wife is Ken Hansel's sister.
Oh, okay,
And what's her name?
well, we figured
Ethel.
that.
Ethel, that's her.
Okay, we figured that, but I thought, well, I'll ask Mom, she'll know.
Yeah,
for
you
sure.
see, that's a mix-up in this thing. Mary Bell married Ronnie Short, which
Yeah.
is Gene Short's daughter, or son.
Yeah.
Then Marion Short married Ethel, who was Kenneth Henshaw's sister.
Yeah,
And then John Short, who was Uncle Tommy's brother, married Francis Short, Francis Hilton. So the family's all mixed up.
well, see, the family Shorts right down the street here. But we can't find out, the woman said as far as she knows it, there's no relation there. And this family here said they always lived around the state. But, that's kind of odd, see, they live right down the street here.
Well, there is several Shorts.
Well, when we went over to the funeral home to see Uncle Tommy, we parked there around on side street there. Well, in front of our car,
or something. Him, Bill, and
Roofing
Gene
dope, you painted each other.
roofing dope.
growing goat.
And they done what?
Painted each other with them.
Painted each other with it.
And that was Jean all day. She done that. I didn't do that.
What did you say to him?
Just clean them up.
Just cleaned them up. I think he said they stood out under the pump and tried to wash each other off and all
We had
that.
no picture pumping, one in front and the other and sat in front of. Well, that's after we cleaned them up.
Oh.
I wonder how old we was then. Do you have any idea?
I don't know, but get 2 years together.
Yeah, we was just little.
Then you wonder why Rick and Ron
I
done some of
should
the
get
things
over
they
to see
done.
Della Jean. I ain't sure. I've never been to her house. I know just about with that.
But
Who, Grandpa Smith wanted to lick the paddle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they went inside and they forgot to put the lid on. When they went out, the dog just licked down just as far as it could reach.
Got the paddle, huh?
Yeah, eating ice cream.
Eat the ice cream.
So they had to throw it away and make them, and force it and thing, make it do freezer. So,
Yeah.
hold on, so that was awful funny. The old Sonny too, with that dog carried the goat on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was bragging, rigged up an outfit to jack a car up, I'm running off the ice cream freezer. It done real good till the ice cream got hard. And just twisted the whole top out of that ice cream freezer. Poor old pig.
So you didn't get no ice cream that time either, huh?
No,
Dishmans live now. And we lived there till we moved away when I was in the 3rd grade of school. And moved down south of Hagerstown on the Swoglin Road. You know where that house sat there on top of the hill? Oh, we moved down there. We lived there till I was in the 8th grade, and we moved back up there where Dishmans lived. Grandma Pitman owned that place. And lived there till I got married.
What year did you get married?
Lord sakes, that's been so long ago. How do I remember that? I'd have to look that up. I was 19 when I was married.
Well, how'd you meet Dad?
Went to school with him. We went to school out East Jefferson School. And then after we moved up there, then they moved up there where Ted Duval owns now. And we moved up there, but we drove back out so Lawrence and Ruth could finish up the 8th grade at the East Jefferson School. And then I went to Downton one year. I didn't like Downton either. I don't care who knows.
Was Marfield Kane there then?
Oh, land sakes, no, Marfield ain't that old.
Oh.
Marfield wasn't but a few years older than me.
Oh.
When I went to the East Jefferson School, when I was in the, I think when I was in the 5th, he was in the 8th.
Oh.
He went to school there too. And I don't know anything else you want to know.
Well, where did you and Dad live when you first got married?
Down here where, you know where Junior Root's place was?
Yeah.
Where they built their new house.
Yeah.
Well, you know, this side of the bridge, that house on the north, that's the first place we lived.
Oh.
And then we moved from there up in with Aunt Mandy Keever up there on the corner, where Charles Hastings lived, you know.
Mm-hmm.
We lived there, and then we moved from there. I moved in with my folks, Claiborne. We moved in the west side of the house. There was a double house. And lived there, and then we moved up where Tramps live over here now.
Oh, yeah.
And then we moved from there up there where Carney's lived. And then while we lived there, well, we bought that place up there, back off the road, on the place where Sam LaFevers live now.
Oh.
And we lived there till we bought this up here where Marcia's place is. Then we moved down here.
Now, where was Harold born at? Where'd you live then?
Back there where Dishmans live.
Yeah. And Wilbur?
Wilbur was born up here on the place where Sam LaFevers lived. And Joe was born up there.
Yeah. And Forrest?
He was born down there where Ted Duval lives now.
And
We lived down there a little while with Claiborne's mother.
Yeah. And then David was born up here.
They was born up there where Marcia's
Yeah.
place. And we lived down there where Ted Duval lives a little while, but we just moved part of our stuff down there and lived down there
Yeah.
with Claiborne's mother a while.
Did all the kids go to school at Dalton most of their years till high school?
They never went anywhere, only Downton and Hagerstown. Of course, when they consolidated, that meant they went to Hagerstown, you see.
Yeah. When did, where was it Dad worked in the slaughterhouse?
Wasn't a slaughterhouse.
Oh, it wasn't. I thought it was.
It was a fertilizer factory where they hauled dead animals in and skinned them. They
Well, I
worked
thought
in
it was a
fertilizer.
slaughterhouse.
Well, they slaughtered them, yeah.
Where was it at?
Down here on the Baker Road, that's where they get that name from. Jess Baker owned that back there.
Where was it at?
Well, there's some old building. You know where Cooley's live.
Yeah.
Well, if you go south there, you know there's some building sets back in there.
Yeah.
Well, that's where it was.
Huh.
And there used to be a house set out in front there.
Yeah.
And Jeanette and Ray Dunford lived there a while. Ray worked back there at the slaughter. They called it, they didn't call it a slaughterhouse, a rendering plant.
Oh, yeah.
And Claiborne worked over at Richmond a while. And he worked down at the factory then.
Well.
That's about all I can tell you.
Well, okay.
And I put my chair in back of it, and they moved all my furniture back and had a boxing ring out in the middle of my living room.
What did you got in back of the stove, huh?
Well, that's the only place that's safe.
What was they doing when Harold throwed Wilbur out the window?
Well, I wasn't at home when they done that, but evidently him and Wilbur got in an argument or a scuffle about something. I don't know what. If I'd start to tell all the mean things they done, you'd have to get another tape.
Well, tell me some of them.
Well, I don't remember all of them. I know they used to have a camp back in the woods. You remember those two maple trees back in the woods just inside the gate?
Yeah.
Well, they had a pole put between them. We didn't allow them to drive any nails in the trees. They had a pole between them. They had a tarp put over that pole, made them a tent. They had a camp back there. They had a lot of fun back there.
Tell me about the time that Dad and them made their ice cream and Uncle Frank and them hooked it up to the car wheel, wasn't it, or something?
Well, it's Uncle Frank's ice cream freezer, I think. It tore the freezer all to pieces.
What all did they do?
I don't know. I wasn't out there when they done it. But they did.
They tore their ice cream freezer up, huh?
I think so. I wasn't out there when they done it, but they did it anyhow.
I remember when Uncle Frank used to bring his kids up here to your house to cut their hair. Oh, he used to cut their hair. Uncle Frank would nick their head. He'd come up there and use Dad's clippers up here at this place.
Sheep shear.
Sheep shear. Boy, he'd have their heads cut behind their ears. No wonder the poor little kids hated to get their hair cut.
One time, Claiborne was up at Leslie's shearing sheep, and Gerald says, "Cut my hair, Uncle Claiborne." Claiborne said, "Well, hop up here." He cut it real short all over. Oh, Aunt Jenny about had a fit. Gerald, that's what way Gerald wanted it cut.
Yeah.
He cut Dickie's once too, and Aunt Elizabeth didn't like it. Dickie had curls.
Yeah.
Uncle Lars told him to cut them off, and he did. Aunt Elizabeth didn't appreciate it. Neither did Dickie. But Uncle Lawrence told him to.
Tell about, can you remember when Dad had his broke leg and Kenny stayed with you? How much trouble Harold got into?
No, I don't remember.
Harold said he could remember one time that Kenny and him was supposed to be doing something out, or Kenny was supposed to be chopping out corn or something out of that field there by the house. And anyway, Dad had his leg broken. He sent Harold out there to tell him to get busy or something. And old Kenny cussed and told him go back and tell Uncle Claiborne that. And Harold went back and told him. And he said Dad come up with that broke leg and all. He went out there to get him to go to work.
I don't even
Harold just come in and repeated what Kenny told him to tell him.
They probably didn't tell me all that, because you see, I was sick a lot of the
Oh,
time.
yeah.
See, he had his leg broke before David was,
Oh.
just while before David was born. So they didn't tell me all them things that went on. Had an old barn, and they had logs, heavy logs, from one hay mow to the other. It was way up high over the driveway. Dad looked up one day, and Marsh and I sitting out in the middle of them. He didn't yell at us. He just told us we could get down from there. Because if he'd yelled at us, he's afraid we'd fall, you know.
Yeah.
It was put near as high as this house. You know where Dishmans live there.
Yeah.
I've been up on the comb of that house.
Well, tell me about what kind of games and stuff like that did you play when you was kids?
Did you ever play shinny?
No. How do you play shinny?
Well, you play it with a tin can and a stick. And you knock the can around. But I don't remember too much about it. It's been too long ago. And we used to play Ducky on Dave. Do you know how to do that?
No.
Well, I remember we put stones one on top of each other to play that. And I don't remember how we done that part of it. Did you ever play Fox and Geese?
Yeah, but I can't remember how they did it. Most of the older kids did it.
It was played in the snow. You had a big circle in the snow. And the one in the middle was the fox. And I can't remember, they had to move around for some reason. And the others was the geese, and he tried to catch them.
Best I can remember, it had, like from that center, didn't it have like a spoke-type path that you made out, and you had to go out that path to get one. It had 4 of them, I believe.
I think
But as they moved around, you had to go down these paths or something.
I don't think we did. I think any time they got out of the circle, you could grab them.
Oh, yeah.
And we used to play Annie Over. Did you ever play Annie Over?
Yeah, we played Andy Over.
We played that down over the old building. You sat down in the corner of the schoolyard up there down.
We used to cheat a little bit. The school where I went was up on rocks. The corners, set about, I expect there's probably 3 foot off of the ground. And we'd cheat a little bit. We'd look under the building and see which way there's running.
Well, we couldn't cheat.
It didn't have a solid foundation around it, just set on rocks at the corners.
But I liked East Jefferson School because all the kids played together out there.
Yeah.
Although we was kind of mean sometimes. There's this one girl that we'd get her on the teeter-totter and then we'd jump off. That wasn't very nice, but we did it.
Bouncer good, huh? Who was your teachers out there, do you know?
Miss Guthrie and Dodie Root. Dodie Root was really a good teacher, too. And Miss Guthrie, she got mad. She got awful mad at Leland Yoke once, but don't you know she couldn't do nothing to Leland because he was stronger than she was. But she'd get awful mad. She wouldn't tell how old she was either. I found out afterwards. I don't remember now. Because she lived out east of Richmond, and so I was telling some of them out there, and they said, well, we know just about how old she is.
Well, tell me something else now. Tell me when you and Dad used to be courting. Did they have cars and all that then by that time?
Yeah.
Or was he still maybe in some horse and buggy by that time?
No, they had a horse. A car.
What kind of a car was it? Do you remember?
Chevy, I think. Yeah, new Chevy when I started going with him. Of course, I went with him when I was only about 15. Then I went with Gus Brown, and I went with Clark McCormick, Tommy Cheeseman, and Clark McCormick, and Gus Brown.
Well, tell me about some of the things about Hagerstown back then. What kind of stores did they have there in town?
Oh, that's
as you were growing up.
There used to be an ice cream parlor where the post office is now. And then after that, there was an ice cream parlor where the West End is now. Bob Bryson run it. And then Hoover's run after Bob Bryson, I believe. And then the post office at that time was on down east. And Ed Porter had a store down there too. And there's a restaurant along in there. And then down where Dean Conwell's filling station is was Will Porter's store. And then after that, Bird's had it. And Worrell's had it a while. There's a grocery store right there on the corner where Dean Conwell's is now.
Was they still using that, where Culbertson stores his ambulance and stuff, was they still using that as a car dealer or whatever it was, used to be there?
I don't know where he stores his ambulance.
Well, over there, right before Kenny Smith lives, used to live. There on Main Street, you know those buildings right there by the bridge?
Oh, I don't know what was down in there.
I can't remember anything being there since Harold and I have been married.
Where the Exponent is, or was, where the...
Yeah.
Why, that used to be a livery stable.
Oh, was that right?
And
First I remember it was a Kroger grocery store.
And there used to be a livery stable in back on, down there on Washington Street, in back of where Porter's Grocery was. But that's been a long time ago.
Seen a lot of changes, huh?
We used to always go down on Saturday night. Everybody went to town on Saturday night. And I got 15 cents to spend every Saturday night. Well, 15 cents then would buy you an ice cream cone. An ice cream cone was a nickel. And you could get you an ice cream cone and candy. But Ruth and Lawrence was older and they got a quarter.
Uh-oh.
We drove a horse and we walked into town a lot of the time. And Lawrence and I, and then, part of the time we were, and then the folks we'd go home with the folks. We had a car before we finally moved away from down there. And Dad worked in the factory, and then Dad's health got bad, and we had to move back up on the farm. And we got one horse that he'd run away with the people that had him before we got him. We called him Black Billy. And so I wasn't supposed to drive Black Billy. So we stopped one time and Lawrence and Omer went over in the watermelon patch Llewellyn's had down there. And Omer had given him the seed and he could get watermelons for it. And they left me to hold the horse. Well, I decided it'd be fun to go home. So I took Black Billy and went home. They had to walk home. After that, I drove him right along. I wasn't afraid of him. I'd go out and harness him up and hitch him up. But when we drove him to town, Mom would have to get in the buggy before I untied him. And get a hold of the lines, and then she'd hold him till I could get in. And Lawrence and I'd drive him to church down here at Nettle Creek and tie him out there. And then when we started home, when we'd get to the Downton Pike, Lawrence would turn him loose and let him run. We let him run till we get down about to the corner there where Uncle Frank's lived. And then we'd start slowing him down so he'd cool off for a time to get him home, because you couldn't put him in the barn when he's sweating like that. We never had any trouble with him, but he run off with Mrs. Swollen and threw her out of the buggy and hurt her pretty bad. And we drove him to school that one winter. And then the next winter, Uncle Lawrence didn't go, so I walked down to the corner over there and went on the school hack. And then the next year, Irene was in high school, so she drove. And we kept the horse in a barn. It was Right around somewhere right close to where the Home Mission Church is now. It belonged to Mrs. McConaughey. And the country kids that drove horses and, would rent a stable to put them in the daytime. Oh, that horse was pretty high-strung, pretty full of life. And there's some little boys that kept insisting on coming down around there, and we was afraid they'd get hurt with that horse. So we told them we was from up in the country, and that they roasted little fat boys like them up there, and we was going to take them home with us to roast them. And boy, they took off, and we didn't have too much trouble in getting up around the horse after that.
That's as bad as Gerald telling Rick and Ron. He went over there to see his father-in-law Henshaw's, when they were just little fellers, and he told them, he said, now, you want to be good because they call this guy Butcher Knife Henshaw because he cuts boys' ears off and hangs them up if they don't be good and hang them in his barn. That boy, old Rick and Ron, was just as good as could be up there at that man's house.
Willie Henshaw?
Yeah.
They sure didn't know him very well.
They laugh about that yet and call him Butcher Knife Henshaw.
Is he still living?
Yeah, lives at Newcastle.
Now, she died, didn't she?
Yeah.
She'd sleep in the east room where the kids slept, and they'd tell her if the bats come down and flew around in the night. They didn't. They told Grandma that. And she was scared of bats.
Can you tell me anything about remembering Grandpa and Grandma Smith after you was married and going to see them, how they lived or anything? Did he farm or?
Yeah, he farmed, but
He farmed, but just lived like everybody else did.
just lived like everybody else.
Somebody was telling me that he was a little fella compared to his brothers.
He wasn't a very big man. We
Yeah.
can tell that by his pictures. I guess as a younger man he looked taller than he did.
Yeah.
I knew him, but he was a small man.
And he was supposed to be quite a bit older than Grandma.
20 years.
20 years older. Oh.
She was 18. He was 38 when they
Yeah.
was married.